Welcome back, my friend. This is Mr. M in the world of toys, and we are right here to celebrate over 4 million views of the channel. That's right, guys. And actually, today the channel got 4,098,673 views of the channel. And to celebrate these over 4 million views, I decided to create a special show. I put together a really super cool show with the best, that's right, the best artists in the toy business. So let's start, my friends. It's time to start to introduce the first one of this, my fourth super special guest. So let's start with the first song. An artist went to some artwork, built a new world, and a way to build a world is like do a stop motion. And the first guest that I want to introduce to you is a master of stop motion. He did the stop motion, he's a media producer for Mesco Toys with his awesome stop motion. So please welcome my first guest tonight, a friend of mine, the one and the only, Alex Kropenak. Welcome to the show.
Hey, hello.
So, Alex, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Also, because when I need to do a show like this one with the best artists, who are you gonna call? I need to call you, my friend. So last time we did together a Ghostbuster show to share our passion for that movie. I'm very happy to have you back. You are my inspiration when I try to do a stop motion. I know my stop motion is still really silly in comparison to your masterpiece, but I try to follow your steps.
You've like we just spoke briefly before, but yeah, it's a thing that you get better at every day, and the work that you've shown me over the years, I enjoy every one of them.
Thank you so much, because I consider you like a master.
Yeah, thank you.
But now we will not alone in the show, my friends, because I put together an awesome crew for this episode. And the next one needs a song like you. So there we go. Let's go to the piano. Let's go back to the piano to introduce the second guest. My second guest of the show was before my show for an interview. If you follow the channel, you know what I mean. He's an awesome artist, super talented, and very happy to have him back, because maybe you saw his work that he did for Twitter and Sideshow Collectibles. And the name of this guest is JP Mavinga. So everybody please welcome JP in this over 4 million views episode. So welcome to the show, JP. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm very happy
doing
to have
well.
you back.
I'm excited to be here.
Now my big challenge tonight is try to do a different song for each of you. No, so I put myself in a challenge. No,
we should be serenading you, Alan. It's your night.
Yeah, also because I did hundreds of songs when I was only a musician. Because my story of a musician as an artist, and maybe I told you that JP last time was drawing in the beginning. Drawing was in the beginning my first, then music, and then writing, and then YouTube. So I'm like a phoenix, no? The mythological bird that go through the fire every 500 years he killed himself, no, and rebirth to do the same stuff, because I had many life as an artist, no. So because sometimes the art shape our life, no, our soul especially.
This is true.
But we talk about that later with the other guests, because I have other two guests to introduce to you.
More.
And the next one is a really mythic guest, my friends. If you love the legends, you find a photographer with a huge talent. Then he also photo for mythic legends. He works with the 4 Horsemen studio. He got this fashion, he got this legion, with his heart, with his heart. And the name of this guest that you know very well is Trevor Williams. Is Trevor Williams. So welcome, Trevor, to the show. Welcome back, actually.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Trevor is in tears for my song.
Yeah, I'm tearing up a little bit. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, man.
Mhm.
Another million. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Next week we'll be on for the 5 million. So
yes, more than 1 million.
it's going that fast.
Yeah, I go back fast, but if I do a balance between my big, huge, crazy effort, because yesterday I worked for this channel in many ways, 14 hours. So
Wow.
4 million is not enough. I need 19, 20 millions. Come on. And now it's time
100.
to introduce, last but not least, another super talented artist. But let's go to the piano. The next guest is a sculptor with an awesome talent, my friends. He works from NECA and also for McFarlane Toys. And he did also, right now, awesome figures, wrestling figures, by the way. His zombie sailor's toy. In my opinion, the best wrestling figure ever for the likeness. And the likeness are very good because of his talent. It was the time of my show, so come back tonight on my show. The one and only Alex Icon, please welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, Alex.
Hello, thank you. It's been a minute.
So
Great to be
finally, my
back.
concert is done and we can start the show.
One more time.
10-minute intro.
No, never mind. Sorry.
Maybe in the end, a song that we put together, this beautiful show. I think that this one will be one of the best episodes. Actually, the episode 83, but it's the first time they put together many artists, different artists with different experience and different stories. So I'm really happy to do something different also on the channel, also to open a little bit the range of the show, no? To don't talk only about toys, but open a little bit the way, no? Because you work with toys, some of you are collector like me, but you are artists before to be a collector, before to work with toys. So this is important. So the first topic that I want to touch with you, and we talk together, and is this one. Is this word. Vision. Because I try to explain what I mean with vision. But I think many of you understand easily these things. Because an artist, I think I have this idea, no? the artist, before to do something, also maybe before to live, has a vision of the life, a vision of how to do art, a vision of everything that is different than the other people that are not artists. Because when you are an artist, you touch something different, no? You feel different. Maybe something that looks like simple for another person, for an artist looks different, because you can find your inspiration everywhere, also in really small things. But also before of everything, when you shooting a photo, you do a stop motion, I do a song or a video, you do a drawing, you do a sculpture. Before to do that, you have a vision, and when you do this art, also it's committed by someone, by a toy company, whatever, you put yourself, your vision, no? So let me know. The idea is that I put a topic. I want hear before your point of view, and later, last but not least, my point of view. So let me know. We start. I call each of you because tonight we have two Alex, so I try to manage that also. So I call all of each of you to discover what is your opinion, what is your vision, and what is your relationship, if we can say that, with this concept. So we start with JP.
Yeah, it's interesting. When you even look at the word itself, it has this other application to eyesight, right? How the brain deals with the outside world, the information that comes in. And I think there's this concept that, at least in my situation, because you start with a blank piece of paper, that you start from nothing and then have an amazing vision and then try to trace it out. And the truth is, I think I was just looking at Trevor's work, and it's like he's composing things that already exist beautifully. And I think, at least for me, guys like me, 2D, I think most of us artists are actually reflecting what's in our culture and in our history. And each one is like a unique, maybe a processor, or it's almost like your life is a particular vantage point, and you take maybe similar things in, but you have your own recipe inside. And to me, that's the vision that everything comes through. And even when it's something that's like completely raw, after a while, when I'm finished, I look at it, especially like years later, you're like, oh, this came from many influences, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I tend to see now that, like, instead of me having an original vision, that I'm almost like a conduit for things that really came before me, and that's I don't know. At least for me, that's closer to the concept of what that original vision is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And now we go to Alex Kropenak.
Yeah, I mean, well, when I saw the word vision show up, for me, the next word for me was inspiration. And it's kind of like what JP was saying, where your whole life, everything that you've experienced kind of gets, that's the way I kind of look at each project that I work on, even if it's something I'm not particularly familiar with. My first stage of it is like research, if I don't have that built-in kind of experience of what the subject matter or whatever I'm doing. And it's like that all kind of mixed in, filtered in. And I am inspired by so many different things and things that these other artists do so well that I wish I could draw like JP and sculpt like Alex. And Trevor, your photography it's very inspiring. The lighting, everything that goes into your work is awesome. And I kind of I do like a vision board, like a mood board, a lot of times for my projects, where I'll just either physically or on a digital platform, I'll just throw music, images, screenshots, video clips, like like it changes from project to project, but and that's kind of the part that I enjoy the most. We're just soaking in of everything that should be considered for this project and letting it stew and filter, and then what can I take from this and actually use my hands to, have it in the final effect. And so that's what vision and kind of inspiration kind of mixed together for me.
Awesome. Trevor?
Yeah. Boy, those are good answers. Jeez. I guess the first thing I thought about is sort of like looking forward as like a big picture. I mean, it's definitely has something to do with all the inspiration that you've had over the years, culminating in something that is uniquely yours, like everybody. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you've taken a lot of inspiration from one thing or another. What you put out there is going to be uniquely yours. And I just think about it as like what I want to accomplish. I think after many years I've achieved like a look of my own, but I'm always like feeling like refining that. And that's kind of like my vision, like just, creating a style of my own, creating something that's going to stand some test of time. You know what I mean? That hopefully people, it's great when people look at it and say, "Oh, I knew that was yours," when I saw it, which is cool. So, I mean, that's part of it. I guess you could take it many different ways, but that's part of it. The vision in your mind of what you want to create, and I do a lot of that stuff. Like Alex is saying, mood boards. That's a great idea. I should probably do more of that. But a lot of that I just do in my head, and I can years and years of being either a graphic designer or an illustrator. You develop a way to see those things kind of ahead of time, which is part of the vision of your ultimate piece. So it means a lot of things, I guess. But I mean, the first thing I think of is just the culmination of the work and like where you want to take it and what you want to do with it.
Alex, I think it's time for your vision.
Yeah. It was funny you started off the show talking about being reborn as the Phoenix, going through a bunch of different materials, and I've been thinking about that too. That like I want to burst into flames and be reborn a painter, but I want to sculpt too and do everything at once. But I think kind of the artist's vision is kind of the thread through every material I work in. Like I also do a lot of drawing and painting and photography, and sort of my vision is what kind of connects them all. And it's more about just seeing potential in things. Like I'll see something that other people just totally overlook, like a grapevine, and be like, no, I need to like take this to my studio and photograph it. This is the the perfect thing for like inspiration for another project. And so that vision is always happening. Like even when I'm like photographing my sculptures, I think I'm bringing the same artistic eye that I use when I'm making the sculptures to photographing them, and it becomes a rabbit hole. I could spend an entire day photographing them after remind myself to stop and put my vision at the project at hand, because my vision was always kind of like wandering to the potential of everything else around me.
Awesome.
So yeah, I guess that's it.
And speaking of my vision, depends of what I do, because like a phoenix, I rebirth many times, so also I die many times. Depends. As a musician, the vision was not only about music, but at the time I built song to do a concert. There was also a spectacle with actress. They were a show with a storyline. So I changed many character outfit, and each member of the band, actually they were all girls musician. Each of them have a character, a role in the story in that particular show. So the vision at the time was to try to put together different type of art in the same show. So also when I did song at the time, was also to the song related with the show, to build a story. So each song was like a part of the story, a chapter of the story, or a little part of the chapter. But then when I became a writer, it was really like an escape. Every change they did, and they were a part of the same vision of myself in some way. Because in general, I'm not a guy that I like. Also, in the movie, for example, I don't like the movie that talks too much about something real. No, I prefer the touch real problem in more inside than outside. No, in the life, and I like when you explain that vision like a visionary. No, for example, I talk about David Lynch, Tim Burton, for example. No, two type of director that explore the mind, no, the mind of the people, but with vision. And vision was also the way how I go to the writing, to start writing. For example, today I published 5 novels, but I wrote since 2007 37 novels because the vision was a real vision. For example, the last novel that I finished, but will not the next I will publish, was a novel that I did sometimes almost leaped. I was in front of the computer with the keyboards, with the closed eyes, as continue to write what they saw in my mind. So really crazy sometimes. So it's actually a vision, but in the specific meaning of the words, no, for to me vision for that. And as a YouTuber, I put this channel in different. I had also another channel before, the wrestling channel, but it's a sad story now. But beside that, especially in this one, it's more creative. I try to, when I do a review, to put my vision, to put not just a review of a toy, but I put also a story, to do something a little bit different. Sometimes a little bit crazy, maybe, because if you have a vision, you can be considered also an outsider, no? A little bit crazy because you try to put weird stuff sometimes, also because the artist can look weird for normal people. But in general, also the art was a way to survive, to me, a way to survive, also to survive of my previous failure, because my story of an artist always up and down. I got success, and then my adverse fate destroyed everything, and I try a new way to rebirth, not like that. So as a musician, I was a little bit popular in Italy, the open important band, but I didn't find a right producer, and I rebirthed as a writer. Then I rebirthed as a YouTuber. Collecting toys is another part of my vision, because when you collecting toys, you touch the child inside of you. And so I believe it is also for all of you. The art is still a child inside a little bit, but because of that, is more wise than another man, another girl, another woman, whatever, that forgot the child inside of him of her. Because if you forgot that, you are not wise. You just forgot something that is important. And the artist need the child inside of him to create. No, this is the my vision in a few words. But because I am a Gemini, I am Italian, so I am the host, but I talk too much, and I don't want to take over the show with myself. So let's move to the next concept, and this is a difficult concept for the artist, in my opinion, is balance. What do you mean with balance? Could be the balance between real life and art, because we know the art take over. In an artist, the art take over the life. So, and maybe it could be problem also for the relation, no, sometimes, but also the balance between your artwork, your vision, and the commissioner. That could be a toy producer, a toy company, or a comic book company. So a publisher as a writer. So so I want to discover what is your balance. If you have a balance, what is your way to find your balance between your art and your life, but also between your vision that we talked a few moments ago, and the commission that you got for a toy producer, whatever. So we start in this time with Alex Kropnak.
I can't think of it, when I'm just thinking of work-life balance because I can't even think of anything else balance related because I've struggled with that my entire career and doing the animation, which is very time consuming, notoriously time consuming, and so it's a good profession for someone who likes to spend hours and hours and days by themselves. But I wanted to start a family and things like that, and that you got to have a work-life balance because either one of those things will suffer for it. So I'm still trying to do better with that, but it's something I'm always thinking about. I just can't help it. I'm always thinking about, you know, if I'm just walking, outside and I don't know, see a way that a tree is lit or something. I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm going to try and recreate that in an animation. I mean, I can't help it, but yeah, you just gotta, it's hard, but, not this, I never get bored of work. It's you do get burnt. Burnout's a real thing, even if it's something you love so much to do. It's like some projects I'll be like, did I forget how to animate? Like, what is going on around? Like, I need to just do something else for a little bit and come back to this.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Also because maybe when you have some time off, you watch some environment, some stuff that you got more inspiration, so you still work also when you don't work, because it's impossible stop your creativity also when you do nothing, because you are an artist, so you see everything in the real life is material, not for art.
Pretty much, yeah.
Especially you, that you create, you build a real new world, no, with stop motion. You built another world, so.
Yeah, I try to do a lot of practical effects. That's why, Trevor, I'm inspired by yours. You use a lot of real life, everything. That's really cool. And then another, if I'm talking strictly work, a balance could be, it's when working on deadlines and things, you have to say, I do need to get this done at certain times. And do I really have time to build a practical forest set and things like that? And
right.
Sometimes you don't, but so it's kind of a balance. And what corners can I cut that won't have the quality suffer too much in the end? But.
And now from Alex to Alex. Alex Anke, tell me something about your balance with real life and also balance with between your vision and the commissioner for some artwork, some of your masterpiece.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with work-life balance, which is always a problem for artists. I mean, a lot of artists when they're like 22, they can just be an artist, 18 hours a day. But then when they get a little older, then life starts happening. So like I have 2 kids, and so like I have to like balance that. But I mean, there is some element of if I can. My 3-year-old is old enough now that we can have like family drawing night, so we can all be kind of artists together, rather than me being alone making art. But I do feel that you have to like draw lines that like the workday is done and now it's like family time, and really kind of psychologically make that switch and not be thinking about work, which is tough to do. As far as balance, like working with other artists doing commercial work, you always have to work with other artists. And I was thinking about this one particular project where I did the Kenner mantis alien for NECA, and that was something where I was balancing all these different influences of previous artists, because it was a toy made by Kenner in a particular style that then had a comic book that came with the toy that was similar but a different style. And then I was playing in Giger's artistic realm, like the thing was based on his vision, and so I was trying to incorporate a lot of his like unused paintings for it. Then there was the NECA house style And then another sculptor had done a few pieces for the chest and stuff I had to reuse. So my work had to like match theirs. So in the end, it was like 5, kind of different like influences I had to like combine together and get through the the art directors. And I felt like I threaded a needle and did it perfectly, but then some people still absolutely hated it and thought I failed. So, and sometimes you have to do the best you can when you're like trying to balance working in that many worlds with that many people. You have to just do the best you can, and like I'm proud of those situations where I've like had to balance so many different influences at the same time. Yeah, so it's always a challenge.
Trevor?
That it is. Yeah, no, those are good. Work-life balance is always like, when I started doing this, it's all I wanted to do. And I wasn't really doing it, commercially. It was a hobby, which turned into what I call a jobby. But I don't have kids, but my wife does occasionally like to see me. And I spent a lot of time in the basement. As like a collector, you want to be around the collection. A and B, this was mainly kind of became the reason for my collection, doing this kind of stuff. And then, between that and now doing like, commercial work for companies, that has to come first, obviously. And then, you want to do stuff that you'll see by my Instagram account that things have slowed down on the personal side for me, and a lot of stuff I put out are product shots for companies that I'm working with, because that it takes up a lot of my time, and the rest of the time I'd like to not be down here by myself all the time. As Alex said, like it's one of those things where you can spend a lot of time and then you realize you haven't seen the sun for about 2 days. So
Yeah, right.
and as far as balance when working with clients, that's that's something that you expect, like any one of here, I think, you expect that the client has come to you because they like your style of work. And yet, there's always people, with the Mythic Legions guys, they're pretty open. They trust me to do, what I want. For the most part. I mean, there are times when we have to do some things that are based on, lore that they're setting up for these characters or settings that they have to be in. So, I can't just go and do whatever I want. And with other companies, it's the same thing. You got to find a way to balance your style with what needs to come out and, show off the, what this product is about and what you're supposed to be conveying with the characters. You know what I mean? Either they're, a good character or a bad character. You have to, they're expressionless for the most part. So you have to kind of find a way to convey that. And, you can get crazy with it, but you also got to realize this is a product shot for, that's supposed to be showing off a product. Sometimes they want you to, go nuts and get close and get tight and, pour fog all over it and make it look cool. And other times they want it to be, something that just shows off the product really well and cleanly. So you got to balance that kind of stuff too, the needs of the client, the wants of the client with your style and your inclination to do what you want to do within that style. So yeah, it gets tricky.
Shout out to Eddie Rodriguez. Thank you for your super chat. He says, never lose your imagination. We all need the dream. That's true. And also comments for Trevor and Alex Kropenak. Trevor, you are the best thing for their image marketing. And like Alex for Mesco, but not like my English to read this message.
Thank you, MJ.
And now is the turn of JP. Tell me something about your balance.
Balance, man, work-life balance is hard. I think I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly, particularly when you do have a challenge of a deadline or a huge amount of work, and like there's no getting around that. I do think rhythm and maybe in our field is a part of that, where There are jobs where it's, the rhythm of it is 9 to 5 stop, 9 to 5 stop, 9 to 5 stop. And our job, maybe it's a different rhythm. It's a few days and maybe breathe a day off or two or three. I know of people who, particularly in the book arena, where they'll do the book and then they'll travel and tour and stuff, but they're not writing. They're like promoting the book. So in a way, it's a kind of vacation. I find that, for clients, I don't really have that much control, but for my personal work, there's definitely a period where I'm thinking, like, no, I'm not working. I'm developing it maybe, or I'm researching, or I'm reading things, or I'm chasing down things I'm into, and that's more like vacation. One thing I do is when I'm stuck, I just go cook, or I have a little one, go play games, make a fort, take a walk. She likes piggyback rides, so just run around the house, and that creates that balance, and I think gives the brain rest and a chance. And usually, I come back with a different perspective. But honestly, I don't know. Like if I there's certain things that would take me like 16 hours if I just sit there and do it. But if I stop, it'll take me 32 hours broken up. And it's like I might as well just do it and keep my, and it's not normal. Trying to accept that. But with the client thing, it's interesting. Because when you brought up childhood, like being connected to our childhood, I've done a lot of work where we were re-envisioning like 80s cartoons and stuff. So it's like the vision, and this came from my art director, David Igo. It was like you take the general idea and the look, you feel what you felt as a child. You're chasing that feeling, and it's like as a kid, a simple cartoon was just amazing. Your imagination could go with it. But now we've seen more and more analytical. It's like you need a lot more detail to create that awe. And then you work and you work and you work, and it's like you can get to about 85%. But then to get to that 90 to 95%, that's like double the time of what you just spent. And then to go from that, but the balance comes in. It's like, is that extra time worth that 5% of fine tuning? And that's when usually, for a freelancer, that's just an economic decision. Like they won't know the difference, and like you stop, and that's the balance.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Every once in a while,
yep, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think some people are paying for that extra, to get it from 90 to 95. Some people will pay for that, but beyond that, it's like you can't really dial it in. And then I've had pieces where I look back years later and I was like, I wasn't happy with this, but I don't know why. Because it's, I can't find that last 5% that I wanted to. I can't find.
Sometimes that 5% is for you. You know what I mean, and less for the client. Yeah. Like it's like I'm going to go back. That thing is just off, and I'm going to either, in your case, erase it, or in my case, reshoot it, or whatever. And you see it and you go, oh yeah, that's it. Just that little turn of the hand or the whatever it is in the character that you're drawing or shooting or whatever, or sculpting. But nobody else is going to see that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's there. You did it, and you put everything into it that you could, and you're happy with it, even though the client would have been happy with it about 10 hours ago. So. Yeah.
100%, but that's also like with personal work, there's times when I see it at the time, but years later I look at that same work and I don't see it anymore. Like what was I? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even on my own stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just,
yep.
That's sometimes you gotta let it go.
Yep.
It's hard to do.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of balance, about myself, in real life, for my decision, I have no kids. I have a dog, a pug, but I live alone in a big house, and I have a girlfriend. She live with me only few weeks a month. Now she is right here in the other room. Maybe she's sleeping. I don't know. But I have no balance. This is my problem because they are always take over my life. So I can work 14 hours, especially in the night, because this channel is a US audience. And also because also before to be a YouTuber as a musician, I work always in the night to do concert, to compose song, as writer the same thing. So I'm a guy that I wake up really late, so late in the afternoon sometimes, like a Dracula. I go to sleep with the sunrise, I wake up with the sunset. No, reverse, I believe. Sunset, I go to sleep with the no sunset is when the sun goes down. So I wake up with the sunset. I go to sleep with the sunrise because I live in the night. I love the night because the night like a white paper. So you got always silence. I live in a quiet town with only forest, so it's not a. But then I always love the night.
Mhm.
So I live also vice versa, no, because of that. So I know there's not only the problem the art take over my life. So my girl is always upset with me, but my dog is happy because to him it's important that I stay with him. No, but the problem is that art take over my time, but also I live in the night, I sleep in the morning, I wake up sometimes at 6 p.m. Because when I start to do something, there could be a novel, could be a song, there could be a huge place set diorama that I start to build, that could be this channel. It's impossible to stop myself. I need to finish everything. But because I do too many stuff, every day I go in the end of my day, this the early morning, that I not finish everything because I have too much things to do. This is the first answer for the balance. No balance in the real life. So I'm really wild for that. And speaking of balance with commission in general, when you do something for commission, is as a musician, I did some soundtrack. So in this case, you need to balance your vision, your idea, with the idea with the director that maybe he haven't the better idea, no, to put the song in the movie. Sometimes I remember I changed some music for this little short movie that was better before, but he insisted, do that, more drum, less drum, something like that. No, I want more string. I want so, and you need to follow because he pay you, so you need to follow his request. Maybe sometimes he asks you something is not really good. As a YouTuber, I have the deadline because when some toy company send me free toys, I need to finish the to be the first to do the review, no, because of that. So I need to go. For example, yesterday I did two review and unboxing for new figures. As always, in this channel, I do also toy news. But to do the review, I work 14 hours because the first mission of the day was finish this review and upload the review and promoting the reviews. And early do the unboxing, and then do the all toy news, and then do other stuff. So when you have a deadline, it's stressful because you need to finish everything. So it's not easy because you are in a rush. You are not to finish everything. So but in the same time you like because if you have this commission, that means that someone trusting you in your channel, no? So is there is two sides of the moon. One side is stressful because you need to be in time, but the other time united you work on this stuff because these people will trust in your work, no? So there is a two side of the moon for that. So shout out from some comments. There is a question for I saw an interesting question for Alex Kropinak. Where is yeah from Eddie? Ask you what is the statue behind Kropinak?
Uh, it's it's a representative of. I needed to block the harsh light from this lamp, so I threw that. It's like a plastic gargoyle for like a Halloween decoration that I bought from. It's like a cash in culture type. Are those national? Like you bring your like nostalgic, like they buy 80s toys and then they sell them, and you trade them in and stuff, and they had them in the display, and like, hey, is that for sale? I was like, not really. All right, I'll give you $50 for them. I'm like, oh, okay. They're pretty cool.
What's your price?
Yeah. It's not usually on my work desk there, but it was blocking the light that was completely glaring on my video. So that's what that's about.
So let's go to the next concept, and is freedom. So I want to go in this concept in two different perspectives. One is that I think that an artist is real free only when he can live with his art. Because when you do another job, for example, this job steal the time for your art. So the mission in general for an artist is trying to transform your art in your job, to feel free to do something that you like since when you wake up, since when you go to sleep. And to myself, for example, but I won't talk to myself later. Come on, Alan, stop yourself. So, so the art is freedom in some way, because if it become your job, when you do only something that you love, you are free. Is something that you need to put a big effort, but you are free because you do something that shape your life. Because actually, each of us is shaped by our heart. We are our heart, because everything that we did express ourselves. But in the same times, because we say that an artist has a freedom, because it's like sometimes an artist become a slave of his inspiration, no? Because you need to follow your inspiration. This type of is not like a normal work. It's something that is inside of you, like a fire, and this fire sometimes could be a problem, no? So maybe could be more difficult to do something normal, because you haven't the time for your art, you haven't the time because of your heart, and at the same time because you live in another world. So you're an artist, so you live in another world. But the artist can feel also the real world better, and then can do a big gift for everybody to feel this something different. So tell me something about freedom in your life, freedom to be only with your heart, but also in your life. For you, art is freedom, or in the same time is also something then got your freedom because you lost freedom because you need to do art, so you lost freedom to do other stuff, like we mentioned before during the balance concept. But is freedom or not for you art, and why? So we start with Alex Anki.
Okay. So yeah, freedom is a weird thing as an artist, because it's really hard to maintain that freedom. Like, even if you do the exact thing you want just on your own, painting, drawing, sculpture, whatever, as soon as you get feedback from other people saying they like it, then you'll get pressured to do it the same thing or move it a little bit, especially if it sells and you make good money doing it. Then you have the pressure where the freedom goes away because you're pressed to like replicate it. So getting complete freedom is really hard to do. So I kind of gave up on freedom. So as a commercial artist, there's small aspects of it where I have freedom, and so I always look for projects where they like my vision, what I bring to it, and like with the stuff I'm doing for Zombie Sailor toys right now, like I have quite a bit of freedom to do that, because it's like it seems to like work, like my idea of where a project should go seems to fit. And so even though it's of an existing like person wrestler, sometimes very famous wrestlers, just the way I'm stylizing it, sometimes the pose, stuff like that, like I have some freedom in it. And then like overall like freedom in my life, I don't know, it's you got to find little tiny slices of freedom and go with them.
Little touch of freedom.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of zombie sailor toys, I saw recently the Bastion Bogger figure that you sculpt for them. The Bogger figure,
Oh, yeah.
my show is awesome because I did. I told you, Alex, last time that I did some with my friends. I did some WWF Hasbro custom figure, and I did also that Bastion Bogger. It was nice, was good, but your is perfect because also the thing that I like you do with this company of wrestling toys that you shape the figures, the body, the likeness is perfect, and also the differences between each character. For example, Mattel, good likeness for the face, okay, but not always. Sometimes they looks like a different person. Some figure by Mattel in wrestling, but especially the body are too so similar because they reuse the same tooling over and over. You can
Yeah.
use the same tooling for a big guy like Ben Ben Beagle or Brett Menard are so different, for example. And your works with Zombie Sabotage, this is the perfect wrestling figures I ever seen. And because of your talent. So I love your works with Zombie Sabotage. Because you touch many characters that they did in my Wrestling Federation of custom figures. Wow. Every time that I saw a new prototype and I see your vision, I see your touch, your talent inside is perfect. Super cool.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
a
Yeah,
big fan
Bastion
of this.
Booger's,
Bastion Booger is
yeah, he's
perfect.
definitely one of my favorites. Like his teeth, his everything. Like he has presence.
Yeah, he's a big. By the way, he passed away in 2010, and was it's a deep cut in wrestling because was he debuted in 1993. Was an era of experimentation in WWF, WWE, and they put a lot of a freak character, and Bastion Bogner is one of them. So, and I like how you do this sculpt for this character. It's awesome. It's perfect. It's Bastion Bogner. So, really good. But now let's go back to freedom, and we talk. I want to see what is the freedom in the life of another Gemini astrologic guy like me. So I'm talking about Trevor Williams. Trevor, tell me something about your freedom, the artist freedom in your life. What is your freedom? Where is your freedom?
I don't know. I would love to know where my freedom is. No, I tell, so I've been thinking about it, like I tell people, like a lot of like toy photography, it's very much a hobby thing, you know what I mean? But product photography is a job. And I know that a lot of people who started out on this would say, oh, I would love to get into and working with a company. How do you, do that and whatever. And I sometimes I say, like, kind of be careful what you wish for, because it is work. You know what I mean? It's not the freedom to do anything you want when you're doing your own kind of work. And I'm sure all these guys have that same, it's like, oh, this is a passion project and this is a paid project over here. Now, like with Mythic Legions, it's great. They kind of give me a lot of freedom. It's kind of like what Alex H was saying, like, the company that he's working for that lets them kind of take it, and then they want his vision. I'm bringing it all together. They want his vision behind it, so he has the freedom to do some of the things that he wants to do. But I've done a lot of work for people, companies that I just don't. There's not a lot of connection with the character I'm doing or the property or the franchise. Sometimes I don't even know what the hell they are, and I got to do research. You know what I mean? Which is like, it's fine. Like I still enjoy doing it for the most part, but it doesn't have, I'm restricted. So there are restrictions in doing commercial work. Again, we're kind of going back to what we were talking about with balance. So my freedom comes when, there's a lull in work, and I take a break and do that work-life balance thing, clear my head, get some ideas, go to my idea file or whatever, and then come down here and clear the table, get that blank slate, and and do some stuff that I want to do. But that is fewer and far between now. Kind of, I think JP was saying that it's like, freedom is just gone. You just gotta give up on it after a while. It's like, if you want to make money in this and you want to keep doing it for even a part-time living or a living, you got to do what you got to do. So a lot of your time is taken up with that kind of stuff, and the freedom to do just art as you want to do it. You have to carve that stuff out of the rest of your time. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to get freedom.
JP, tell me something about your freedom.
Man, so many good answers and really ways to use the word. I feel like before really becoming an artist, had a lot of things that I enjoyed. And so I was really into sports for a while. I played basketball, and I really wanted to take it as far as I could. So at some point I was, if I wasn't at school, I was out there shooting, training, running, doing something 8 hours a day. And I would draw. I always drew, but not in a conscious, on purpose kind of way. But I enjoyed that a lot, and there were a lot of things I enjoyed. I loved science, a lot. I was always, anything space related, especially. And, when I was a kid, it's on top of everything else you have to do, these three things just never met. Sometimes I would draw sci-fi stuff, but it was so far. What I was drawing, I was copying stuff from TV shows or whatever, but it was so far from the actual, space stuff. I wasn't, which is fine. But at a certain point, when I realized that I was going to be an artist, having to choose, one thing I let basketball go, which is fine. I started doing other kinds of things, but I guess I found my freedom when art became the thing that I wanted to do, particularly storytelling. And then all of a sudden, all my interests funneled into storytelling. So all of a sudden, the biology that I was interested in made sense in terms of writing sci-fi and speculating, but also just anatomy, everything that I loved about machines and engineering and all, it made me, I guess, more informed when I was drawing mechs or Star Wars stuff or whatever, right? And all of a sudden, I found that who I was able to be expressed through my art, but all my interests, all my and that to me was a type of freedom, because I couldn't really find another path to do all these things. In the last couple of years, I've started to, I always wrote, but actually had a chance to do writing for work, which is another thing that I love. When I started college, I was about to declare an English lit major, literature. And then I was like, no, but I really want to go here, And ultimately, the art made sense, but the literature came back. And so that was a type of freedom. And I think sometimes it's finding who you really are is the freedom, if that makes sense. And then everything else kind of funnels through there, obviously a lot of us are parents here, and you look at that and I'm like, there's a lot of incongruencies between being an artist and being a dad. You can't sit there and work all day or whatever. But I'll tell you what, from time to time, I will cook something special, right? I'll make a pizza or waffles, and I will just make the most ornate plate that I can. And you put that in front of a youngster and they go, wow. And it's there you go. That's your art for that moment, and it's amazing. And so to be able to route the artistry in you, the spirit, into a gift for someone else, into just a way of being, is also a type of freedom. It's actually, my art doesn't stop. It's constant. It's how we play, we build forts and everything. So, and that was freedom. And in that way, I guess it's kind of an attitude shift. But really, once I think who you are, you kind of are free. regardless of what the circumstance may be. At least that's how I see it.
I feel like I was too negative now because that was good.
What?
No,
It's true. You have the freedom to be, you know, I mean, like I think that was good, JP. Like thinking about, you know, I wanted to be like a movie director or a comic book artist, and I was, you know, I didn't have those the ability to go, you know, direct movies, and I was a good illustrator, but I was too slow. But this is kind of brings everything together. So in a way, that you're right. That is a freedom.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
As a kid, like I wanted to be like astronaut, cowboy, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then being a sculptor, I sculpted an astronaut, cowboy. Everything I wanted to be, I've now made in wax tiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alex Kroponak, it's your turn.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first you know, of course, thought about the differences between doing commercial work and then doing similar work just for yourself. But maybe I'm going too far off of what we're going for with this. But actually, Alex, what he just said about when you were a kid, what I thought of was, you know, why did we all like toys and get into toys as a kid? And for me, it was like, you know, I love Batman and I watched Batman movies, and now I have a toy of Batman, but he doesn't have to do the things that he did in the movies. Like I'm free to take this symbol of this character and have him fight a dinosaur or something. I can do whatever I want with this now because it's here. It's a physical thing in my hand. And that's something I didn't really think about at the time, but thinking back on why I was a collector my whole life, and you know these just things I put on my shelf and look at, which is fine. But I also wanted to, you know, when I got a little older and I could borrow my parents' video camera, I'd put all my Star Wars toys and make you know, my own stories and do my voices and work with editing when I didn't even realize what I was doing. And it was just purely being free to create a world with these characters that were familiar. You know, everyone knows who the Star Wars characters are, but this was my world, and you know, I had the freedom to, you know, do all kinds of crazy stuff. That's what I was thinking of.
Mm.
Okay, I look at your stuff, Alex. Like, I can't imagine how I don't understand. I mean, I've seen all the special effects, the whatever, like videos and I'm like, yeah, but you have to move it and shoot it and move it and shoot it.
Yeah.
And in my view, all of us are completely in chains if we try to do what you do. Like at some point, the skill gave you the freedom to do what you're doing, right? Like it's your high level of ability. Like that's also part of it, I would think.
Yeah, it's I mean, I guess I took that kind of playfulness as a kid, and you know, I kept at it, and it's something that I did that I never thought I would do professionally. Even in college, I thought I was going to be like a computer science person, which I was so not good at. But you know, I kept doing animation and learning more about you know, also movement. I mean, I while I'm not a great, you know, illustrator or sculptor or even you know, not videographer, but I'm trying to get better at composition. Like I didn't go to an art school, but I'm trying to do and learn as much as I can about visual composition, color, everything to apply to animation. So I'm still learning, but the animation part, you know, I have to look at you know, well, let's say for example, for the Captain Nemo figure I did for Mezco, it was very fun because I got to actually build a tentacle, like an animated tentacle, which I built from scratch from like flexible wire and things. And I was watching, you know, old Harryhausen, because he did a lot of tentacles and things like that. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, and it just, I don't know, it's just something that I take all the experiences and interests that I had throughout my life, and it very rarely feels like work, which I'm very lucky to be in a position to feel that way.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a freedom. Just the sorry, go ahead.
No, I saw only that. I say only that I remember that one with Captain Nemo was awesome. That one, super cool.
Yeah, it was
Masterpiece, like a movie. When you saw a stop motion by Alex, you see a movie. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Trevor, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I guess that is kind of a freedom too, in that your all your experiences and all your your knowledge gained gives you freedom to focus on other things and expand your your repertoire and stuff like that. So the ability to set things up quicker for and start things quicker, know where to start. That's kind of a freedom too. You know what I mean? Like just being able to not have to think about everything from the ground up necessarily every time from scratch. So, that there's a little freedom in knowledge too.
True.
Before to talk about my freedom, there is a question for Trevor from my solid fan of the channel, Daniel Ristori says, "Hey Trevor, looking at your Star Wars treasure behind you, I trust you're adding Darth Sidious went out. What a terrific sculpt."
Yeah, it looks good. I'm sorry to disappoint you that I'm probably not going to add that because I'm running out of room and I'm not like I love the Clone Wars and stuff, but it's not something I really feel like I need. So sorry, Damien. Who knows? Maybe there'll be one of these nights that I'm doing a YouTube show and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to order that thing.
I like Star Wars, but to me, it's especially if I'm about the original trilogy, especially.
Yeah, me too.
And a little bit the prequel with what is the actress? I forget the name. Natalie Portman.
Anakin?
The
Oh,
prequel
Natalie
a little bit, but I'm especially with the three original trilogy. Because
that's my main.
Between fantasy and sci-fi, I go to fantasy in general. I like sci-fi, but not like I like fantasy. Speaking of freedom, okay, I need to watch to see this world in different way about myself. On one side, I feel free only if I do art every day. So to me, it's better, got less money, but do only art as a job. No? So the reason why I'm not rich is because I decide to do only art. And in the art, especially in music, sometimes it goes really up. When I work on TV, when I work in a tour with as an opener with my song, where I sing the song, my song, it was the opener, important band in Italy. At the time, later, I did a lot of concerts because you become popular, you got more money. But sometimes the people they love you can forget you. If you aren't in TV for 2 years, they forgot you. Also, if you was in TV, maybe for 5 years consecutive, because the people are like that. So you're always up and down in this job. As a writer, I feel free when I'm writing because, as I mentioned before, my writing is following a vision. I choose the soundtrack. This is my way, a playlist that I call the soundtrack because I consider the soundtrack of my story, to writing. So I feel free when I do the novel. But when you go to the publisher, when you find a publisher that understands your vision, your type of writing of novel, because I don't follow a typical type of novel. I like do a mashup between different type of story, And so when you find a publisher, then start the problem because you lost a little bit freedom because sometimes they ask you, it's a good novel, it's very good, but it's too big. So cut this chapter, cut this other one because we need to have a lower price, to publish the book. And so you lost freedom a little bit because, yes, you need to publish, but at the same time, when you cut a chapter, maybe you trust in the chapter, you need to cut because they ask you to cut. It's not really good, that. But meanwhile, I prefer do that, do my job, then do another job, because do another job to me is like kill myself, lost my freedom. And I prefer be free, but with less money, and maybe sometimes have less freedom because sometimes commission you to do a soundtrack or when you start to publish something. In the same time, so the art is freedom to me. But I understand the art take over my life, no? Because of that, maybe I lost freedom. But it's difficult that I feel bored in my life because I always do something that I like. Maybe sometimes when I finish my 14 hours in a day to do the videos for this channel, for example, for this channel, something that I like more, do reviews, interviews, like this is a show, it's more than a typical interview, unboxing, stop motion, I like that. Toy news, for example, is something that I like to do because this channel is a service to everybody. They're collecting everything. You have the news first for every company, but sometimes it's stressful because you need to upload so many videos. But when I do that, I listen music, I listen interviews. But there's something for like every job. There's something that you like, something you like less. No, your least favorite your least favorite things to do. However, the art is freedom, but also is something that take over my life. So maybe someone that is not an art can say, "You're a prisoner of your heart." No, so it's a double side of the same things. So before to continue, how much time do you have to continue the show? Because I forgot to ask you that before to start the show. So how much time do you have? Now we are about 1 hour. Other 20 minutes are okay for you?
Sure, I'm good
Okay,
with that.
just
Oh, I should probably go soon.
so 10 minutes can work for Alex Sankey.
Yeah.
Okay, we stay on 10 minutes to everybody. So we also because later I need to go in my toy room because I have other 2 review to shooting.
Wow.
The problem is that I for this work for as a YouTuber, but also as a writer, also as a musician, but especially you sit all day, 40 hours, and then you start to suffer back pain because you need to move a little bit. So my mission, because I got an awesome advice for our mutual friend Trevor. I'm talking about Nate Birch. When I talked with Nate, I told him, Nate, I have a problem. This back pain come to me many times. And he told me, walk, Alan, walk every day, and you feel better. And he was right. So my mission is go before to sleep at 6 a.m., 6 a.m. 30, our little walk in the mountain for 30 minutes, really fast but sometimes I haven't the time for that. My girlfriend was upset today because my house, except for my living room and my toy room, is a mess, my house. There is dishes dishes in the kitchen to clean, dust everywhere. So it's a really mess. Only the toy room is super clean because it's the toy room. No, so she was upset. You're crazy. You're always every time that I meet you, you are worse than the previous time because you're crazy with this stuff. So. So I understand that sometimes I lost my freedom or you lost the time, but the problem is that sit every day. But only because I put a big effort in the art, but the other stuff, especially something you, JP, talking about your athlete skills. As an artist, I'm really bad. No, I'm lazy to do something physical. When I finish my stuff, I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean my dishes. I don't want put this stuff. So I don't want to do nothing. No, only a little trip with my dog 30 minutes before to start. So sometimes it looks like crazy be an artist, but because we are almost with the final moments, I want to put these final topics to all of you. What is the things that you do that you did as an artist so far that you are so proud? Your favorite artwork. So we start with We start with Trevor. Favorite artwork?
Oh no! Don't start with
Yeah.
me. God, it's like picking your favorite kid, Alan. I don't know. There's a lot of things I'm proud of. For different reasons too. You know, I put out a calendar last year and that did really well, and that was fun to do. And it was something that I I didn't really think I was going to do or that people would be interested in. I don't think people put paper calendars up anymore. But like all the stuff for Mythic Legions and just the fact that those guys are great about it, and I think just getting to work for those guys has probably been one of the proudest aspects of it. As far as artwork goes, I don't know. I don't know. Gun to my head, I couldn't pick something really. I don't know. I don't know. It changes weekly, daily. So yeah, can't pick.
So every week you have a different favorite one.
If I look at something, it's kind of like what JP was saying earlier. You look back on something, and you go, "Why did I, spend so much time on that? It wasn't worth the time or whatever." And then you look back at something else that you like kind of dismissed, and you go, "That was pretty good, man. That was pretty good. I like that a lot." You know what I mean? There's a new respect for stuff the more you look at it. I think we're just always constantly as artists probably looking at stuff and reevaluating. And if you go back to look at old work, which is something I try to avoid sometimes, you've just like it's like sometimes it's there and it's good. This was pretty good. Yeah, I really nailed this one.
I understand really well what do you mean, because sometimes after many years I re-listen some my whole song that maybe at the time I thought there was a crappy song or maybe good. I change my mind for some old stuff because you change as well, no? So change also your point of view.
Yeah, and your style, and you develop.
You did.
More and more, and like, yeah. So,
yeah. Is also because we as artists we change every day. We are always in change, no? So JP, your favorite artwork?
Well, yeah, I can't really choose. I mean, there's projects that I'm really proud of to have been a part of, but it wasn't my best art. If I had to say right now, I don't think anybody's even seen it yet. It's stuff that I'm working on and thinking of. That's what I'm most excited about. And, even though nobody has seen it, I'm most proud of it. I mean, I had stuff on the table right here that, because I mean, once it's done, it's what I used to do, even if it was just yesterday. You know what I mean? At least for me, it's just so. But if I have to put something out there, I guess in the toy space, there's stuff I did at McFarlane that never came out. Alex knows all about that. But it's like,
yeah,
there's so many cool things, and it was just like,
that's hard.
But man, probably Voltron at Sideshow. A lot of people worked on that, so it's not my art. I didn't sculpt it, obviously, because I don't sculpt. But being able to contribute a lot of the detail and the art direction to that, and just making it all work. I think a lot of things came from a lot of places, and they just didn't have a unifying kind of vision. Speaking of the word, and it was me going in doing drawings and some of the detail and hardware and how stuff fit together, and it was fun to imagine that thing, and it brought probably all my abilities together, from hardware to organic, because you still had to have the flow of a cat in the hardware. And so I really enjoyed that and try to make them look like sport bikes. So the vehicle thing was in there. I would have to say that's probably the best one. But what I'm doing right now, hopefully start showing it this summer. I'm far more proud than anything else I've done.
Cool.
great.
Alex Anki, your favorite artwork?
Yeah. So JP, yeah, I know like how many projects you had at McFarland that didn't see the light of day, and I had what from that
None.
era. I only had one, and I was like so sad about one, and you had so many. But it was this undead zombie dragon. It was right when the dragons got cut at McFarland, and they showed photos of it online, and it was a zombie dragon, and they showed it like really bright, like rainbow colors, and I'm like, it's an undead dragon, why? And then it never came out, and so for a while that was my favorite sculpture, and it just got nixed. But over the years, I've had a few. I did a chess set I was proud of, but I mean, you know, hopefully my favorite thing I'm going to do is going to be the next thing, and I'm proud of some stuff I've been working on now that hasn't been released. But in the last couple of years, as far as toy products, I really like the Andre the Giant I did for Zombie Sailor Toys, and then
Awesome.
on the NECA side, they went back and they did some of the old Universal monsters, and I got to work on the original like old Lon Chaney Phantom of the Opera, where he went in,
that was great.
did his own like makeup. So every session of filming, he like redid it, so it was constantly changing. So from a reference perspective, like I had to like combine like his look from every single day and make a sculpt of that. And it's so cool that I was doing a sculpture from a movie from 1929 now. And so that was you know really cool to do that. And partially I think it was because of the pandemic. There was fewer movies coming out, you know, sci-fi fantasy, so they were kind of like digging in the archive, and it just happened to go back that far. And then for NECA, I also did the Nightmare Werewolves for American Werewolf in London, and those came out pretty cool. Like I did a removable helmet, and for a moment that was my favorite sculpture. But my favorite sculpture always has to be the next thing I hope will be my favorite sculpture. So it's to be an artist, you have to constantly be thinking like that, or you'll be sad.
That's true.
Alex Kropinak, your favorite stop motion?
I have like two kind of cop out answers. Back in the day, my second job was at Marvel Entertainment, like the main New York HQ office, and I was there a bit and always wanted to do like stop motion stuff there. And finally, we had an idea, and I co-created this web series. It was like a joke series called Marvel Superheroes. Based on the old like comedy comics that came out, I think like 80s, 90s. And I did that for a long time. Like I did over 100 episodes. Started around like 2009, I think. And then a few years back, like before the pandemic, I was an adjunct professor at this university here in Pennsylvania. And one of the students, it was for an animation department. And one of the students, introduced myself, and they're like, "What? You created that Marvel show? Like I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid, and like had a big influence on me." And that's kind of like why I got into animation. And I was like, first of all, thanks for making me feel really old. But second of all, like very proud. Like that's amazing that I had never thought that it would have any kind of like influence other than just making people chuckle online. Like really like change, you know, had an impact on this kid. It was awesome.
That's cool.
So I guess that whole project, the whole series, I'm really proud of. People still remember. If I do work for Marvel every once in a while, so on a freelance basis on their like social media, and there's always a few comments like, "Hey, this looks like the old Marvel from like 10, 15 years ago." I'm proud of it for staying in people's minds that long, and you know, so having such a wide viewership, I guess. And then, but I also wanted to say, like, it as a whole, the work that I've done at Mezco, I was hired right when, you know, the first Agent Gomez figure, like not the very first one, but the one in this line, the 112 collective started, and I was kind of in on the ground floor, and like, you know, it's a very collaborative process at Mezco. There's so many people working on everything in that whole the Rumble Society and everything. And then every once in a while pitch out an idea that becomes canon in the universe, and it's really awesome to be involved in that. And having been a part of it since basically the beginnings is just something I'm really proud of continuing on and feeling like a part of, I guess.
Cool. And by the way, the Under the Giants of Alex Heinke is super cool. I think that is better Under the Giants figure ever made. It's awesome. The sculpt, once again, you kill it, man. Speaking of my favorite artwork, the problem is that I have different life as an artist. So as a musician, I have a favorite song that in English is "The Fly of the Phoenix" because it was a song that talked about my destiny as an artist. I think it was also the most popular right here in Italy because of that. It was the opener, important musician. So the people loved that. I had also a fan club with that name, so it was a song that I still remember. They still have a good spot in myself, in my heart. We can say that. Speaking of writing, in general, my favorite book is the last one that I did. My last book is the best. Is the book that I'm most excited, because it's the last one. I feel this is my better. Maybe then the publisher choose another one, pick an older one. But the last one looks like I feel that is the best because I see that I growing like a writer. No, now I haven't too much the time to write because I'm busy to do other stuff for YouTube, but also to YouTube. But for example, I am really proud of this episode. I love this episode because we talk about something different. And when I have this idea to do this 4 million views celebration, and by the way, everybody that watch the show right now, the views right now are 4,098,673. So this is the numbers right now today. So, for example, the last review to me is the best that I did. Not just because of the thing that they reviewed it, but because I see that I try to follow better my way, or the last show that I did right now. So everything is the last in general is my favorite because when I do something 2 days later looks like old to me. No, I need to do another stuff. I always finding something new. I try to be better, also in stop motion. I try to be better because I always, but also for this channel, because I'm ambitious. No, also I always frustrated because I feel it's not enough. It's not enough. You do something good, yes. You do a little success, okay, but it's not enough. No, it's always not enough. So because of that, I live for my heart. So this is my life, but in the same times, maybe someone can say congratulations for millions, but it's not enough because he put big effort in this channel. So it's not enough. A good book, yes, but I can do better. No, so always like that. However, the last one's still the best. So, for example, tonight this is my favorite episode of my show because it's the last. Also because before to be a YouTuber, I'm an artist. No, so put together artists in a show. We talk about toys, but we talk about art. I feel that is a more also a little bit philosophic episode, no? Because artist is also a way to think also at the same time. So my English still bad, but I try to put together a better conversation with something a little bit more because I know the meaning when I want to say. But sometimes I lost the word because Alex, I learned English with wrestling. This is my reason why my English is because my words say, what you gonna do, brother? No, something like that. So tell me something, Minjin. No. So what's that? But because it's also because now I watch many stuff on YouTube in English. interviews, watch this guy of the Saturday Night Live, the old guys. Now, in this day, I watch a lot of Belushi, John Candy, Dan Aykroyd interviews, so I listen a lot of English, especially US English, not so much British. But because of that, I think also in English sometimes. Sometimes I have this problem, and I finish the show with this silly ending. So, in general, when I speak in English, sometimes I think in Italian. When I speak in Italian, sometimes I think in English. So this is really crazy, no? And my English is still bad, however. So before to say goodbye, we go to the piano for the last song. But thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
So
Thank
it was
you. It was
super
fun.
cool.
Thanks for
and
having
put
us.
together these friends, these artists, because it's. I think when an artist meet another artist, looks like that you feed your soul, no? You got something for you. So, we lost Alex Anke, we lost, I believe, in the end. I hope he come back. However, when you meet, when an artist meet another artist, likely that you do something for your soul, a connection, no? A connection, a chemistry. This is interesting because there could be possible a connection of mind also if you live in different countries. For example, Kropinak, you live in Pennsylvania, that's right?
That's right.
I am living in North Italy. Trevor, in which state do you live?
New York.
New York. And JP?
California.
California. So also for JP is another hour, for example, to me is another hour for Trevor. So we live in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But we got a connection because we are artists. I don't know what happened with Alex. Maybe lost connection. The battery sometimes, the charge.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he come back. But
No, this is cool. I think when I meet another artist and I talk to them, I recognize myself and my own ambitions and the things that I go through, and I don't. We all work alone. That's the nature of it. But I think you feel less alone when you see basically a brother that is another version of what you are,
That's right. So this is the perfect way to explain what I try to explain with my English with almost grammar. This is what I think in the better explanation. So I don't know for Alex, maybe because I don't know. I text him, but I think that I send a message to him. I see that. Let's see. If you can come back, we end the show together. Let's see.
Yeah, this is so nice talking to all of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's also
this is
because
great.
I think the first time to all of you, they meet each other, I believe. Oh, Alex is
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, I worked with Alex for 2 years at McFarland, so I know him.
So you only the two they know each other. I know all of you because of my show, and many of you. JP is the second time, but it's the third time with Alex Kropinak and Alex Enki and Trevor. Is almost your second arm this channel. So because you was in many episodes that I don't remember all many.
I'm not singing
So-
this time, Alan.
It's time to sing. That's right. Thank everybody to enjoy this show. A show full of love and heart. Thank you to Trevor. Thank you, Alex Kropenak. Thank you, JP. And thank you, Alex. Thank you to join with me. The art shape our life. Together we find a way to express our vision. So thank you to all of you and good night. Have a nice weekend. Good night, my friends. Good Good night, my friend. So thank you guys. It was a super fun episode. Thank you to all of you that watched the channel. Stay tuned for more show, more reviews. Probably tomorrow will be the review. Cool. The review of this one tomorrow for the Green or Not Kato figure Diamond Select. Because later tonight I will shoot in that. So thank you, Trevor. Don't forget to follow Alex, JP, and Trevor on their social media Instagram page to watch and to follow the awesome artwork, and click follow to their page on Instagram as well. And see you soon. Thank you so much. And goodbye to all of you guys. Goodbye.